my name's Ella Morgan and I'm one of the surgeon assistants for the Transform Hospital Group, and I'm also proud to announce that I'm the brand ambassador for the Gender Identity campaign, and right now I'm going to be answering your questions about my own journey and transition, so keep watching. So I knew I was going to transition from around 11 or 12. I knew from probably about the age of 6 that I was different. I didn't know that I was transgender until I'd heard it for the first time. And I think that was during a documentary on TV, and it vaguely was brought up in sex education. So there wasn't much awareness or talk about it back then, and that wasn't too long ago. So in comparison to where we are now, we have definitely come along, but I just knew it resonated with me, and I knew that transgender described me, that I was a woman trapped in the wrong body. So from about the age of 11 or 12, I knew that I was going to transition at some point. I wasn't sure when, but as soon as I did know that I was going to transition, part of having the gender reassignment surgery was what I knew I needed to do, and I never doubted it for a second. I knew I needed that surgery and I was going to do it. It was just more kind of knowing when I was going to actually transition. My first step naturally was, as soon as I'd finished school, was to go to my GP. I remember the day I went to my GP and I said to her, this is probably going to sound bizarre and crazy to you because it's not something that is talked about, or it wasn't so much then, and it felt very taboo to openly admit that I felt, when I was sat there and I looked like a boy, I felt kind of like no one would understand me if I said I'm actually a woman. I feel like a woman trapped inside. The part of me also felt like, are people going to believe me? Are they going to think this is just a phase? Am I going to have to prove myself? So I went to the GP and she said that there's a process, and the steps were to refer me to a psychiatrist just to make sure I'm, mentally stable, I guess, which I always knew I was, and that was never a doubt for me. And then I had to have therapy, and then surgery came a few years after that. So my first step was go to the GP and get kind of the help and the guidance to where I went. I feel like I was a range of emotions before I had the surgery. Obviously, there was that point where I was kind of 17, 18, and I knew I had to change. And obviously with the help of the NHS and the support of my parents, I went to the psychiatrist. He deemed that I was mentally stable and that there was no underlying reasons why I wouldn't be able to transition. Then came the physical part, which was quite hard. I'd never really used makeup the way I was about to. My hair was quite short. There was all these steps to look feminine. And I was aware that you need to look feminine to pass as a woman. Otherwise, people aren't going to take you seriously. So I felt quite a lot of pressure to look good, to be taken seriously and to be seen as a person that I am, who I knew I was on the inside for many years, but obviously for everybody else this was going to be a huge change and shock for them, so it would take them time to get used to it. Having the surgery definitely, made a huge difference to my life. I felt like I was finding me, but obviously I was living with a body part that I wasn't actually born with. So at first, don't get me wrong, it was difficult, it was painful, the recovery was hard. There was a few months where I definitely struggled with, I guess, post-surgery depression, but it was definitely worth it in the end. I just felt like I didn't have to worry anymore about people questioning me, and I didn't have to worry about, oh, I can't do this or I can't wear this. I can go out and have a holiday and be me. And the first thing I did was go to LA. So that was my treat to myself. But yeah, I definitely just felt kind of, I wouldn't say 100% complete, but I definitely felt better. And I felt more like me, more so than I thought I was going to before I had it done. So after my gender reassignment surgery, I'd had my breast done a year later. And then for the last few years, I've also been having dermal fillers, which is a non-surgical treatment with the Transform Hospital Group. So I had, for example, my cheekbones, I had cheek filler, I had jawline filler, chin filler, lips, under eyes and nose. Now that isn't done in the same way as obviously the surgery that I've had. You don't get put to sleep. There's, you know, very minimal recovery. There's some swelling and bruising, but the results are instant. And I felt like I needed it to plump out my face, because I'd always felt, and I'll insert picture here for you guys to see my before and after, before filler, and how I'm looking now. I just felt like my face was very skinny and gaunt, and I didn't have cheekbones. You know, my chin was really square. I felt like my nose looked big because my cheeks were non-existent. So for me, my body is how I had imagined it. Like, I'm really happy with my body. I did get a second breast augmentation with the Transform Hospital Group in 2019, and at the same time, so I went up a size. I went from 300 to 400, and I am really happy with the results. I think part of me always wants to go that bit more, you know, a bit more with the filler, a bit more with the breast implants. That's just how I am. It's kind of like all or nothing, but I definitely appreciate the fact that I had the gender reassignment on my first set of implants with the NHS, which I am so grateful for, because surgery is expensive, and I wasn't earning the kind of money that could afford me to have that surgery, you know, for years.